Hi everyone, I'm back after a brief hiatus. I'm looking forward to getting y'all caught up on all that's going on at the farm, so let's get started. Hello! As you've seen in a previous video, our dinner routine is a little wild. One of the things, hi Wendy, one of the issues that we sometimes have in dinner is this area back here. When we first got Eleanor and Wendy, they loved to go and hide back here. It's kind of like a cozy spot where they felt safe, which was fine for a little while. But as the sheep have become more accustomed to me, more familiar with me and our routine, it's kind of becoming unnecessary to have a little hidey spot for them, since they have plenty of access to other spaces in the barn, out in the pasture, where they can, run and hide if they need to. So something, hey, Miss Louise, you gonna knock the camera down? Miss Louise? Yeah, I know. So something that was suggested to me by Noreen was to make this area back here like a hay feeding area. So I love that idea because the last several days have been super rainy. This afternoon somehow the sun came out, and the next several days to maybe another week are going to continue to be super rainy. And so I don't always want to let the sheep out to the pasture when it's super rainy, because if it's really muddy, they could tear up the pasture or be a little more susceptible to like foot rot and hoofs, and to some other hoof problems. So it'd be really nice to have a space indoors where I could keep a bale of hay back there at all times and let the girls have access to it 24/7, so that if I'm keeping them indoors, I don't have to come out here and bring out hay every morning, like I've been doing a little bit recently. Just give them a little bit of freedom to make their own choices, which I like. So I'm gonna measure this opening, see if I've got cattle panels that'll fit. I have several, so hopefully I have one that is, yes, Luna? Hopefully I've got one that will fit this space, or is, maybe slightly bigger so I can cut it down. But, we won't know until I measure it, so. Yeah, we're gonna have to measure it. What do you think, Tilly? We're gonna measure it? Let's measure it. I needed 8 feet and 10.5 inches of cattle panel to fill this space. Luckily, there are a lot of cattle panels laying around, so I just need one long enough to cut down to size. I first checked this small group of panels in the barn, but the largest one was much too small. The panel that makes up this pen is the right size, but since I'm planning to get a ram this fall, I don't want to take this pen apart unless absolutely necessary. Outside the barn is what used to be a corral, and there are tons of panels half attached to the fence posts. Did you catch that quick change? About a week passed between when I identified which panel I wanted to use and when I had actually gotten around to take it down. About 6 weeks ago, I had my IUD removed after 10 years, and I made the switch to birth control pills. This change was really hard on my body, and I'm just starting to feel like myself again, and as a result, I fell behind on making videos and posting to social media, but I'm back now, and I'm looking forward to sharing more of our farm with y'all. This video is mostly a barn DIY video, so if you're looking for an update on our barn cats, Thomas and George, check out my latest short featuring Thomas and Oliver. And I'll post one featuring George soon, but just set your minds at ease, they're thriving and doing very well. Dragging the panel to the barn was much easier than I expected. The girls were very curious about what I was doing. So I was looking at how I might want to cut this whole thing. If I bring my saw out, I was thinking I would just like cut here, all the way down, just to open up this back area to push the hay in. And that was when I realized that there's like metal on the top of these top two boards. I'm not comfortable trying to cut through metal with my circular saw because first off, I don't know how that would work. And second of all, if there were any kind of spark, I mean, I feel like it takes one spark and this whole place is on fire because of all the hay in here, highly flammable materials. So I'm not willing to risk my barn and the safety of the sheep. So, I don't know, I've just grabbed my hammer and I'm seeing if I can like pry it up. I can see that this piece of metal ends here and the second piece begins. I mean, I literally only have to pry up this area and remove it just so I can cut. I feel like I don't want the metal at all, just because I can see how rusty it is over here. But like there's a nail here I'm trying to pry up. I tried pulling the nail up from this side, but it's like so flush with the sheet. I can't get it out, but I'm trying maybe something like this will work to kind of pull it up, and then I can get some leverage. I should probably be wearing gloves, but I'm not. Oh, I can see the nail head popping out. Ooh, it looks brittle. Break shit. Sorry. Another time jump. This time it's 2 weeks. Can you tell that our weather has just been all over the place? In the last clip, you can see that I got the metal trim off pretty easily, but that's not the case with this section of the trim. I started by prying the top part up, which was fairly difficult due to all the surface rust, and it just kept flaking off and was extremely brittle. So I pulled up my tin snips and cut a few spots to ease the stress. And that's when I realized that the trim was securely sandwiched between the 2x6s and the plywood. I was really just hoping I could sneak it out from between the two. And so this took a lot of brainstorming and a little bit of help from our barn ghost, which I think I've mentioned in a previous video. But for anyone new, I estimate that our house was built at the beginning of the 19th century, and the original family is buried in the cemetery next to the house. This barn is obviously a modern-ish pole barn that is built on the foundation of perhaps a previous barn or another structure. Anyways, this ghost and the one in the house liked to turn the lights on and off as a means of communicating. So I came home from Noreen's one day and noticed that the barn lights were on, which I know I did not turn on when I was in the barn earlier. So I came in to check things out and noticed that the metal trim was much softer and easier to work with. It came off the 2x6 so easily, so I think the ghost just got tired of watching me struggle and decided to help out a bit. Here, I'm screwing the 2x6s to the post to stabilize the section I wanted to keep before I start cutting into the rest of the stall. I first began with my circular saw, but because this lumber is so old, it's super dense and hard, so my saw struggled a bit. I quickly pivoted to my trusty handsaw, which made quick work of the task. And then I broke the tripod. But don't worry, I got a new one. Now that the stall is open in the back, it's time to attach the cattle panel. I cleared out the straw from around the bottom of the lower beam to make sure I got a tight fit. And then it was time to cut the cattle panel down to size. I remeasured the opening, marked where I wanted to cut the panel, and began snipping with the bolt cutters. I somehow measured the panel wrong, so I did have to cut it down a little bit more, but all was good. After I got the panel cut down to the right size, I screwed it into the beams using the same PVC clamps I used on the fence post to secure the electrical wires. As you can see, the sheep love this setup, and so do I. I feel at ease knowing that the girls are getting enough to eat, even on the super rainy days, and the hay feeder has freed up a lot of my time, since I only need to distribute grain to the girls when I bring them in at night now. And while I was initially cautioned that the feeder would cause us to go through our hay much faster, after almost a month of use, I can confidently say that isn't the case. The girls may be eating more hay, but they're also wasting a lot less, and isn't that the ratio you want to have when it comes to feed? Eventually, I'd like to add some sort of door on the sheep side of the feeder so that if I need to close it up in preparation for shearing or some other reason, I can do so easily.